Devaraj Konthoujam. I'm going to brief you about the Subhas Chandra Bose and its INA history. That is, Subhas Chandra Bose was born on 1897 of 23rd January. He was born and brought up in Kolkata. For the further education, he went to Europe. He assured his father that he would write a civil service exam. In the year of 1921, he wrote the civil service exam and he was selected. But he did not secure the job, means he did not work the job because he did not want to work under the British government. So he left the job on the 23rd April 1921. He started a newspaper of Swaraj. So after he left the job, he started a newspaper Swaraj and took the charge of publicity for the Bengal. His mentor was Chittaranjan Das, who was a spokesman of aggressive nationalism in Bengal. In the year 1923, Bose was elected as the president of the All Youth of the Indian Congress, and also he was elected as the secretary of the Bengal Congress state. After he was elected as secretary, even though he was an editor of the newspaper called Forward, and he worked as a CEO of the uh, he worked as a CEO of Municipal Corporation of Bengal State, which was handled by the Das. In 1924, he was elected as the mayor of the Calcutta. So in the 1925 all-rounder of as nationalism, he was arrested by the British for his nationalism. Bose was arrested in 1925 and sent to the jail of Mandalay, where he contracted the tuberculosis. In 1927, after being released from the jail, Bose became General Secretary of the Congress Party and worked with the Jawaharlal Nehru. Bose was after come out from the jail again. Bose was arrested by the British for the civil disobedience movement. It was a movement in the 1929 at the December, which was held for the which was held at the Nagpur, I think, which was held for the complete independence of the Indian Congress. In the 1930, Bose went to Europe, visiting the Indian student and the politician leaders. There he observed the communalism and fascism. There he wrote a book called The Struggle of India. It was launched in the London in the year 1935, but it was later on banned by the British because it would create a mind of collectiveness to the Indian people who was uneducated. So the British banned the book, which was written by the Subhas Chandra Bose. In 1938, Bose stated his opinion that the political system should be freedom; it should have its own freedom policies. As in 1939 the Congress session was going to be held, they needed a president. As Bose was the president from before, the Gandhis did not want he to become the president of the Congress party again. So Gandhiji nominated Maulana Azad, but he was withdrew. So again Gandhiji nominated Pratavi Sitaramaya. After knowing all these, Bose contested in the election and took the presidency. After becoming the president of the Congress again, the working people was inclination towards the Gandhi, so they refused to work with the Bose most of the time. So the Congress was in the verge of splitting. So Bose decided to quit the Congress. On the 22nd June 1939, Bose organized the All Indian Forward Bloc. Again Bose was arrested by the British Indian and he escaped to Afghanistan. From there he escaped to Russia. From the Russia he traveled to Moscow. Moscow is in Russia. From Moscow he traveled to Rome. From Rome he reached Germany. Most of you might know the World War hero, and it's Adolf Hitler. There, after reaching Germany, Subhas Chandra Bose met Adolf Hitler. He took the help of the Adolf Hitler there in Berlin of Germany. He found an Indian army consisting of 4,500 soldiers. Subhas Chandra asked the help for the Indian army from the Adolf Hitler. So Adolf Hitler agreed to his statement. After war was broke out between Germany and Russia, um, after war was broke out between Russia and Germany, the hope of the independence of the Indian National Army was driven away from the Subhas Chandra Bose's mind. So he traveled to Japan to check help. Now let us come to our first INA, how it was formed. It was formed between the discussion of two officers, Mohan Singh from India and the Japanese army officer Fujiwara. It was in discussion, but Mohan Singh refused because they wanted to be independent and they do want their freedom as their national army. But the Japanese people did not agree because their Mohan Singh opinion was they were under control of Japanese people. Whenever they want, they were using our army. So Mohan Singh refused it and demanded for the independence army. But the Japanese people refused to do it. Yes, the forming of the INA, first INA was incomplete. It was started at the last month of December in 1941 and it was broke out in 1942. Now in 1943, the idea of the Indian National Army was brought back by the Subhas Chandra Bose. In 1943, a meeting was held at Singapore between the rash behari Bose and the Subhas Chandra Bose, and he gave hand over the organization to the Subhas Chandra Bose in the 1943. Subhas Chandra Bose got many of the help from the Azad Hindustan, who was a spoken man of Azad Hindu. He was a spoken man and who used to give the speech for the most motivational of the Indian National Army. Orally on the 4th July 1994 with the Azad Hindu on Burma, Bose gave the speech that "Give me blood, I shall you give the freedom." His speech was so evocative and he argued the people of the Indian to join him and fight against the British to gain the freedom of India. And the first INA was settled and formed in the land of the Golden Land known as is present in the northeastern state that is called Manipur at the Moirang. On the 6th July 1944, from the Singapore, a broadcast speech at the radio of the Azad, Gandhiji was named as the father of the nation and he was asked by Bose to give the blessings for and good wishes to fight against the British. This was the first time that Gandhiji was referred by the appellation, as there was a battle in the Imphal and Kohima. Japanese lost against it. So the main, so the establishment of the main base of the INA was lost forever in the Bose mind. But our INA soldiers they tried to fight battle and won, but they could not win the battle, so the aim of establishing a main base was lost. So it is the history, a brief history of the INA. Whatever I know, I have said little. You can go and search for the more information. Thank you. And Bose left the world on 18th August 1945 in a grand blast. Thank you.